Hey everyone, in today's video I wanted to show you all how to get WiiFlow up and running on your Wii U, using the vWii of course. That way you can have a nice sleek layout just like the one you're seeing here for all your favorite games and systems. I'm going to show you the complete setup of WiiFlow, ranging from adding Wii and GameCube games, switching up the themes, adding your retro games and cover art, adding music, and adding a forwarder to the Wii U main menu that will take you directly into WiiFlow, so that'll make things a little cooler, that way you don't have to navigate through all the menus. This video is going to be a little on the longer side due to how much we're going to be covering, but it's overall going to be a really easy setup. And the last thing I'll mention before I get started is that in my most recent video before this one, I actually showed how to use one hard drive for both Wii and Wii U games. That way you don't have to flip-flop between different USB drives due to the whole formatting requirements. So if this sounds like something that's up your alley, I'd recommend giving that video a watch first. But anyways, let's get started. Okay, so to premise this before we get started, I just want to make it known that I'm going to be using an SD card and a USB hard drive for this. My USB hard drive is an easy store drive that I bought from Best Buy. I'll leave a link in the description below. And I'm also using a Y splitter cable to power the drive on the Wii U. Now, doing this tutorial, you can actually stage most of your games on a USB hard drive, like your PlayStation 1 games, your Wii games, and GameCube games. That's what I'm going to be doing here today, but I'm also going to show you how to set up the SD card for it as well. That way nobody's lost, but you can really pick or choose which one you want to do. And with that being said, we have a whole list of things to download here, so let's jump right into it. We're going to start off with the FAT32 format GUI tool. This is what I'm going to use to format my hard drive to FAT32. So I'm just going to click this. If you get an option to keep it up top, go ahead and do that. After that, we're going to grab the latest release of WiiFlow, which at this time is 5.5.4. So I'm just going to grab the zip here. Next up, we have the WiiFlow Start Configurator. This one I recommend you download, but it's kind of optional. This is just to fix the WiiFlow application if it does not start up for you, which it actually happened to me. So I'm going to be grabbing this so I can show you guys how to use it. Next up, we have the WiiFlow channel installer. So this will actually install the channel, just like the name says, directly to your vWii. So go ahead and download that. Next up, we need to have a WAD manager. If you have one already, you can skip this step, but I like this one, so I'm going to grab that. Moving on, all these downloads are pretty quick. We're going to grab the WiiFlow Lite Plugins Pack 2024. And when it opens up, you're going to notice you have two options. You have WiiFlow Plugins Pack Extras. You don't want this one. You want a WiiFlow Plugins Pack 2024. That's it. Go ahead and press download. On to the next one. Now we need the emulator database from this site here. So it's actually 3 downloads. We want the database, the snapshots, and the cart disk. So I'll start with the database, hit download, snapshots, hit download, and cart disk, hit download. Moving on, we have a nice theme to look at, which is the Rhapsody Shima theme. There are other themes for WiiFlow, but this one's really my favorite. I use this one all the time. There's some screenshots of what it looks like here down below, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab the Rhapsody Shima 5.5.4 right here. Next up is the Wii Backup Manager. A lot of you might already have this if you've used USB Loader GX before, but I'm going to go into Show All. Grab the Wii Backup Manager zip file here. And then next up, we're going to do the GameCube Backup Manager. So just scroll down, grab the zip file. And that's pretty much it for now. We're going to mess with these files first, and then we'll come back for the rest. So let's head over to our downloads folder. Okay, so you can see I have my downloads folder open, everything finished downloading. The first thing we're going to do is format our USB hard drive if you're using one. I just want to show you here in the corner. I'm going to type in Discman, open it up. Scroll down because I know disk 3 for me is the vWii hard drive that I'm using. You can see the partition is exFAT, and this is exactly what we're going to change. So I'm going to open up the GUI format tool. You can see drive W is selected already, and that's what this is, drive W. You could name this whatever you'd like. I've named mine vWii, and then just hit start. Now you might get an error that says it failed to open. This is because this program doesn't like having other windows open. So if you do have any open at this time, go ahead and shut them and then try using the tool again. It should work. Now if we stare in the corner where it says exFAT, it changed over to FAT32. So we're all set with this tool now. We can exit out of this and we'll move on to the next thing. All right, next up, we need to extract all of our files here. So go ahead and highlight everything, right click and hit extract each archive to a separate folder. And this might take a little bit, probably about 2 or 3 minutes, so I'll see you soon. And if while everything's extracted, you get this message here, go ahead and press yes to all and let it keep going. Okay, when everything's done, we can go ahead and delete all the zip files. And now we can start structuring our SD card and USB hard drive. So let me go ahead and open those up. You see Wii U SD right here. I'm going to right click, open it up in a new window. And I'm also going to grab my vWii hard drive, open that up in a new window, and we will start things off with the SD card. So the first thing we're going to do is grab WiiFlow 5.5.4, open that. And we're going to highlight these two files and drag them right on the root of your SD card. After that's done, go ahead and go back to your downloads folder, and we're going to grab the WiiFlow Start Configurator. Grab the apps folder that's inside of here, toss that on the root of your SD card, and let that transfer. Next up, back to the downloads folder, we're going to grab the WiiFlow channel installer, open this folder up. So you're going to see you have 3 zip files in here. We only need 2 of them. So we're going to grab the WiiFlow channel installer and the WiiFlow vWii pack. Right click those 2 and hit extract each archive to separate folder. After that, we'll start with the WiiFlow channel installer, open that up. We'll grab the apps folder, toss that on the root of our SD card. Back up, and then we'll grab the WiiFlow vWii pack. So inside of here, we have a bunch of WADs. This is what's going to install the WiiFlow channel to the vWii menu. So you only need one of these, and if you don't have a WADs folder already on the root of your SD card, you can create one. So I'm just going to right click, make a new folder, call it WADs, open this folder up, and I'm going to use the 8-bit forwarder here. I'm just going to drag that on. After that, go back to the root of your SD card, head back over to your downloads folder, and now we need a WAD manager in order to install those files. So we have yet another WAD manager mod right here. Open this folder up. You can see these are the main files for it. So just back up a smidge. This folder right here, we're going to toss it into our apps folder on our SD card. Head back over to our downloads. And now we're going to grab the WiiFlow plugins pack 2024. Go ahead and open that up. Open this up. And we have a bunch of different options here. And this is where I said you can use a mix of the SD card or a USB hard drive or both if you want to. I'm going to do both just so you guys can see how it's done, but you guys can choose whatever you want. So let's start with copy to SD. I'm going to open this folder up. We're going to copy these 3 right onto the root of our SD card. After that, head back. Then we're going to go to the copy to USB folder. Open that up. Open up your vWii drive and copy all these right into there. Go ahead and back up one more time. And now we have copy to SD or USB. And I'm going to copy this to both. So highlight everything, drag and drop it on the vWii hard drive. And I'm also going to drag and drop it on the SD card. And we're just going to let this finish. So I'll see you soon. Okay, once that's done, we're going to head back to the downloads folder. And now we're going to grab the database. So WiiFlow database right here. We have a WiiFlow folder. We're going to throw this on the root of our SD card and let this one transfer. If you get this message, go ahead and press replace. Then head back over to your downloads folder. And now we're going to do our snapshots. So open this up, and our WiiFlow folder. We're going to toss this on the root of our SD card. This is pretty much going to be the main theme of the evening. It's really the hardest part, is just tossing the stuff on the SD card and then waiting. So you can see here it says about 14 minutes. This is the biggest file we have, I think. So I will see you shortly. All right, when that one finishes, we can go back to our downloads. And now we have the cart disk that we need to grab. So grab the WiiFlow folder here and then just toss it on the root of our SD card. After the cart disk is done, we can go ahead and grab our theme. So we're going to grab the Rhapsody Shima 5.5.4. It's important during all these steps that I'm showing you guys here that you're doing the exact ones that I'm doing, because during this process, you're going to be overwriting files and you need to overwrite the right ones in order. So anyways, opening this one up, copy to root. We're going to grab the WiiFlow folder and transfer this, and you'll probably get that message asking you to replace a file. I'm assuming anyways. And there it is. Go ahead and hit replace file and destination. And now we can start adding our Wii and GameCube games. So to start things off, since we're on the SD card, if you want to use your SD card for Wii and GameCube games, create a new folder and call it WBFS if you don't already have that. And we're going to do the same thing on the USB hard drive. So just open this up, right click, new folder, WBFS. And now let's go ahead and open up the Wii Backup Manager. So open this, and I'm gonna grab the Win64. Give this a moment to open. And now the first thing we're gonna do is add our games. Now, right here on my desktop, I actually have a folder with everything I'm gonna be using here today. So go over to Add, go to Folder, and this is on my desktop. So if I'm looking here, it should already be here. WiiFlow Games. And inside of here, I have Wii, and I'm just gonna press OK on that, and it should load all of your Wii games directly into here. From here, you can go to Select, go to All, Transfer as a WBFS file, and then you're gonna select where you're putting it. For me, I'm gonna be doing my USB hard drive. So I'm gonna be doing vWii, and I'm gonna put this in my WBFS folder. If you plan on using the SD card instead, you'd be doing the same process, just on the SD card. And we're gonna wait for this to transfer. Actually, while this transfers, let's go ahead and open up the GameCube Backup Manager. So head over to Downloads. Let's see, GameCube Backup Manager, and open up the exe file. You're gonna get this little bar here that tells you to select your language. I'm gonna choose English, hit OK, hit Set. You get this message, go ahead and click Yes. And now the first thing we're gonna do is set our destination for our games to appear. So if I go to Files, you can select the drive. Once again, if you're doing SD, I know SD for me is drive E. Hard drive for me is drive W, so I'm gonna do drive W again. You should get this message that pops up that there is no games folder on the SD card, and it's gonna ask you if you should create one. Go ahead and hit Yes. And go back to your files, and then we can go ahead and start adding our games. So all we have to do is select more directories. And again, my games are on my desktop here, WiiFlow, GameCube, hit OK. Everything should load right up. Go over to Select, go to All, and then all we have to do is hit Install Games. So both of these are kind of going to do their things here. You got the Wii games that are probably going to take about 5 minutes. Really depends on how many you're selecting. And the same thing for the GameCube Backup Manager. Okay, and once that's done, I think this would be a good stopping point for us, and we can go test things out on the Wii and get WiiFlow all configured and set up. So go ahead and take your SD card out, your USB drive out, and let's head over to the Wii U. Okay, so on the Wii U, if you see this message here, go ahead and hit cancel. We do not want to format our drive. Again, if you followed my previous video for setting up one drive for both the Wii U and the vWii, this message shouldn't appear anymore. But continuing on, let's go ahead and head over to our vWii. So go to the Wii menu and open this up, and just give it a few seconds to load. And the first thing I want you to do here before we even go any further is go ahead and open up the Wii options menu, then go ahead and go back, go into save data. And just like how we have the homebrew channel here and we have an option to erase it, if you see WiiFlow in here at all, you want to erase it. I had this problem before, and this is why I was getting a black screen when opening WiiFlow, and that's because it wasn't configured right. So maybe you bought your console off of eBay or something, maybe somebody used it before. It's just best to delete it, and I'll show you how to set it up properly. Go back, and now we're gonna open up the homebrew channel. From here, we're gonna look for the WiiFlow channel installer, which should be on the first page, at least it is for me. And again, WiiFlow channel installer, go ahead and hit load. And then we're gonna select install channels. And it should only take a couple of seconds for this. Then go to quit installer. And now you can see we have a WiiFlow basic channel here with, like no cover art on the covers. Let's go ahead and start it and see if it loads for you or I. For me, every time I do this, I notice that it does not load. So just give it a moment. You might get a black screen here. If that happens for you, just go ahead and restart your system and I'll meet you over back on the vWii. It looks like it has froze for me as well. So just give me one moment. I'll restart my system and I'll see you over there and show you how to fix this. Okay, so we're back on the menu here. We know our WiiFlow channel doesn't work, but if we open up our Wii options menu again, and then go back, head over to save data, you're gonna see we do have WiiFlow save data now, except this time it's for the profile that does not work. So now this is what we're gonna fix. Let's head back over to the homebrew channel. Give it a second to open up. And we're gonna go to the WiiFlow start configurator. Go ahead and hit load. Now, once this opens up, I haven't really played around with this too much, so I'm just gonna show you guys what works for me. Assuming you're plugging your hard drive in on the back of your Wii U using those 2 ports with a Y splitter cable, all I do is just set this for CIOS to 249 and then hit the home button. After that, it should return you to the loader, and I know because I tested this earlier, it should work. So let's go ahead and install our WAD now so we can actually make it look good on the vWii menu. We're going to look for yet another WAD manager, which is right here. Go ahead and hit load. After this loads up, you're going to select the Wii SD card slot, and we're going to look for our WADs folder. Inside of here, you're going to see that 8-bit forwarder that I chose earlier, whatever, if you chose something different. Go ahead and hit the A button, and then the A button again to install the file. After that's done, hit the A button to continue, and the home button to return to the homebrew channel. From here, let's hit the home button again, head down to exit system menu, and now we'll take a look and see if our WiiFlow Forwarder is working. So you can see here, it definitely looks different. If I open it, it gets a little different jingle. Looks a lot better in my opinion, but let's go ahead and start it up and see if it works this time. And it looks like it's loading up. Again, not everybody will experience that issue, but I did, so I just wanted to show you guys how to fix it should that issue arise. Now, the next thing you're going to find out is right here it says no games found in SD/WBFS folder. That's because I rigged my Wii games and my GameCube games to be on my USB hard drive, not my SD card slot. So we have to tinker around with some settings on here. So go ahead and hit the home button, go over to settings, and right here where it says game partitions, go over to set, and see how it says Wii partition and GameCube partition. This one's set to SD, this one's set to USB. We're going to change the Wii partition to USB, but you do have an option to change it to both should you want to, but I'm going to keep it on USB for both. Go ahead and hit back. If by chance your games still don't show, you can go over into page 2 where it says startup settings, hit go, and make sure mount SD only is selected to no. Let's back up, and it looks like it's picking up our games now. Just let it convert the covers here. And there's our Wii games. The only downside is we don't have any cover art, but to fix that, if your console is connected to the internet, you can hit the home button, go over to settings again. You see download covers and banners, hit go, covers, hit download. And this might take maybe 5 minutes or so, so I'll see you when this is done. Okay, when that's finished, you can hit the B button on the Wii remote, B button again, and you should have your cover art for your Wii games now. We can even open that. You should hear a little bit of a jingle. And you can actually click your box art here. And if you hit the plus button, you can zoom in on things. I know the quality is not the best, but it's still cool that that's at least an option where you can examine the box. Let's move on to our GameCube game. So if we scroll down here, we actually have a GameCube icon that we can click on. Probably going to be the same deal where our games will show up, but we won't have cover art. That happens once again, just hit the home button, settings, download covers and banners, and let it run through. And same thing for this. When it's done, just hit the B button to go back to that menu. And now you can see we have all of our covers for our GameCube games. Now, another fun little tidbit, if you hit the 1 or 2 button on your Wiimote, it'll actually give you several different viewing points for looking at your games. Like even this one, for example, I can go over and select Mario Kart, for example, and it'll make that one pop up. I think that's really neat. But other than that, the next fun thing that we need to do is start adding our theme. And I actually like having this on the main screen for the time being, just like this. But if we want to add our theme, go ahead and hit the home button, go to settings, go to page 2, and you should see theme. And all we have to do is just go over and select the Rhapsody Shima theme and then hit back. And once we load back up, you can really see the themes really popping now. I think everything looks great. Now, honestly, if you're just doing this for Wii and GameCube games, you can pretty much stop here. You're all set. I'd recommend getting to the end of the video, though, so I can show you how to add the Wii U forwarder, but you're pretty much good to go. The only bit of advice I can give you is if you go to start up one of your games and you get a black screen and can't run them, maybe you need to do the CIOS installer, and I'll leave that in the description down below for you guys to look at. But I think now it's time to move on to our retro systems. So let's go ahead and shut this down by hitting the home button, go to shut down, and full shutdown. Take your SD card out, USB drive out, and I'll meet you back over at the PC. All right, so back on the PC, the first thing we're gonna do is clean up our downloads folder so we don't get confused. Let's go ahead and highlight everything and get rid of the things we don't need. So we're gonna keep the GUI format, the Wii Backup Manager, and the GameCube Backup Manager. We can pretty much delete everything else. go ahead and let that delete. It might take a little bit because I know the database and snapshots have a lot of files in it. It might take a minute or two. And now that that's done, we can move on to our downloads once again. So let's open up Chrome. And again, I'll leave a link for everything down below. So when adding retro games into WiiFlow, it's not like adding the Wii and GameCube games where you can download the cover art automatically through the system. You actually have to add your cover art manually. So I actually made my own tool called DEM WiiFlow Tools, and it helps make that renaming process a lot simpler. So for those of you who don't know, in order to get your cover art to work in WiiFlow, you need to have your game title and your cover art title, you need to have them matching 100%. And this tool will make all that renaming process nice and simple. But in order to use it, you need to download Python. Now, I already have this, so if you need it, just go ahead and go to download and download the latest release right here. After you grab that, though, head over to GitHub and grab my latest release, which is version 3.0. Next up, you only need to grab this one if you're going to be doing PlayStation 1 games. Again, this tool is going to make the whole renaming process easier, and I'll go over that when we get to it. Hit download right here. Next up is the fun part, which is adding your cover art. Now, I have 2 links here that you can go through, and you want to make sure you check both because there's different consoles and different links. So I already know what I'm using, and let's start with Control F. I'm going to type in PlayStation, and you can see I picked up PlayStation right here. This is the PAL version, though. I want to use the NTSC-U version. Now, I'm going to be putting this one on the USB hard drive, and then I'll download another one to put on the SD card so I can show you guys both. So let me just grab this here, go to download, go back, and I think the next one I'm going to grab is the Nintendo 64. Find that. You have that right here. You have 2 options. You can grab the horizontal cases or the vertical cases. I'm going to grab the horizontal one. Go ahead and hit download. And I'm good with that. If you have more consoles to do, you can do that here. But I'm going to move on to the next step, which is adding music. If you don't want to add music, you can skip this part. But all you have to do is download this tool, Hamster Free Audio Converter. It's a free download. Give it a moment to start up. If it doesn't start up, you can go ahead and hit relaunch download and then relaunch download again. And then lastly, we have our Wii U main menu forwarder. So you have WiiFlow right here. You just click the dots, go over to download, and just let everything finish. Okay, so everything's finished, and I guess the first thing we'll start with is adding our retro games and cover art. So we have DEM WiiFlow Tools version 3.0. We're just going to click that, right-click it, and go to Extract to. Let this finish. After that's done, you can go ahead and delete the zip file, and we're going to right-click the folder, go into Open in New Window, and we'll start structuring things now. So opening up this tool, you're going to see we have a bunch of folders in here for the Atari 2600, Atari 7800, every game pretty much that you're going to choose. I cover about 24 consoles in this tool, but we're going to start off with the N64 because that's nice and easy. So if I open this, you're going to see we have 4 folders in here. You have N64 cover art. I think everything's a little self-explanatory, but this is where your N64 cover art is going to go. You have your N64 games. This is where your N64 games are going to go. You do not have to worry about this folder. And then you have the rename cover art folder where everything's going to go when it's finished. So if we back up, let's start from the top. We have N64 cover art, and I'm going to drag my N64 cover art right into here. Right click and hit extract to. After that, you can delete the zip file and open up the folder. We're going to start by deleting the bloat that we don't need. I'm not using Mac, so I don't need this folder. You can open this up. I don't need the Australia. I don't need the Europe. I don't need the Japan. I don't need the DS store. Open this folder up. I also don't need the alternative folder. And I don't need the DS store folder. All we're pretty much looking for is just the cover art we're actually going to be using. So if we back up now, we can go over into our N64 games. And I have a folder right here called WiiFlow Games. I can just scroll over. I have my N64 games right here. I'm going to highlight all these, right click, copy, and paste. Then we can back up. And now all we have to do is just run the tool. Now, you don't have to do this part. I'm just showing you this so you guys know how the tool works. But I'm going to right-click the N64 games folder, open it in a new window, and you can see the tool working in real time once I open it. So open up DAT N64 WiiFlow tool. I'll drag this over here so you guys can see. And it's going to say, would you like to see your listed N64 games? This is going to be everything that you put in that folder. It's going to list everything right here. Would you like to check for any duplicate titles? Hit yes. If it doesn't find any, it'll tell you enter to continue. Now it's going to ask you if you'd like to remove the region information, which if it says USA, Europe, or whatever. So if I hit yes, if you look over at the folder to the right, you'll see everything get moved in real time. After that, it's going to ask you if you'd like to rename everything. So you just hit yes and yes again. And again, you'll see things get switched up a little bit on the right. And now it's pretty much going to do the same for the box art and everything else. Most of the time, you're just going to select yes to all the prompts and just follow what it says. But when it's done, it'll say thank you for using the tool and enter to close it. Now, for anyone who's having any confusion, I do have how-to text in every single one of the tools. You can open it up and it literally tells you everything from like the size the cover art needs to be all the way to where it needs to go on the SD card. But I also made it even simpler by making another script that'll transfer everything for you. So just to show you guys, I'm going to go to this PC. See, my Wii U SD card is drive E and my vWii hard drive is drive W. If I open up this tool now, transfer to SD USB, it's going to ask us what drive we want to use. And since I'm putting the N64 games on the SD card, which is drive E, I'm going to select number 2, hit enter. Do you want to transfer your N64 games to the SD or USB drive? Yes or no? And I'll just show you guys how that works in real time too. So I'll open up my Wii U SD card. It's going to go not 64 and into the ROMs folder. And once I hit yes, you're going to see all the games just being transferred one by one. So no more really needing to navigate through all the folders. So I really simplified the whole process there for certain systems. I'm still working on it and I'll probably add more as time goes on. But let's go ahead and let this finish and then we'll move on to the next step. So now the tool is going to ask you if you want to do the same thing, but with the cover art. Go ahead and hit yes. Let this finish. It should be a lot faster since it's just images. Hit enter to exit. And we are all done with our N64 games. Now, the next one I want to do is the PlayStation 1 tool, because that one's going to be done a little bit differently compared to the others because you have BIOS and there's a little bit more going on. And the first thing we're going to do under PS1 cover art, I'm going to toss in my PS1 cover art. So drag that in, right click and hit extract to. Let that finish. Go ahead and delete the zip, open the folder. Looks like this one doesn't have any bloat like the other one did, just all what we need. So go ahead and back up. And now if you have your PS1 BIOS, you can open this up. I actually have mine. Let me open this again. PS1. I have my BIOS right here. You can toss that right in. Head back over into the tool. And now we need our PS1 games. Now this is where it gets a little bit different. So let me open this folder. We're going to head back over into our downloads. And this time we want PSX VCD. So I'm just going to click on it, right click and hit extract to. Then we're going to open it up and we're going to have to install this here. So just run through the exe file and all the prompts here. Just accept, next, next, install, finished. And it usually leaves you a desktop icon. I'm just going to drag it into this folder. And now I'll open it up. So what we're going to do here, I'll just give you a visual example. Let me open up my PlayStation 1 games again. So if I use, let's say, Tomb Raider as an example, you can see here I have track 1 all the way down to track 57 for the bin file. So that's a lot of like unnecessary renaming that you don't have to do. And that's what this tool is going to fix by consolidating all the bin files into one. So all I'm going to do is just go and highlight all of my games. Then we're going to drag them right into this tool. And the next thing we have to do is just select our destination. So I know this is going to go into DEM WiiFlow Tools. So if I just hit this PC, go into Downloads, DEM WiiFlow Tools. This is going to be for the PS1 WiiFlow Tools. And we're looking for the Games folder. Hit OK. And then after that, all we have to do is just hit Convert. This is going to go through all the games one by one, and again, consolidate all those bin files into one for us. So depending how many games you're putting in here, it might be a little while. I think for me, it'll be about 5 or 6 minutes, so I'll see you soon. Okay, when this one's finished, we can exit out of the tool. And you can see in the PS1 games folder, we now have a bin folder. And inside the bin folder, you can see we have all of our games. Our bin files have been consolidated, but now our folder structure is super messy. We don't want to leave things like this. So if we go back, you're going to see we have a folder called Tools. Inside of here, I made another script called the Bin and Q folder creator. Right click it, go to copy. We're going to head back into our games folder, right to where they are. Right click, and paste that in there. All we want to do is just open it, and it should do all the work for you. Now everything's nice and organized. So we can delete this now. and we are pretty much good to go with renaming everything. And just to show you guys, Tomb Raider, for example, now just has 1 bin versus the 57 it had earlier. So let's head back into the WiiFlow tool, and now we're finally going to run it. So run dat PS1 WiiFlow tool, and it's the same exact thing. Just follow the prompts, hit yes to pretty much everything, and let it run through. And same thing, we can use this right here to transfer everything over to the USB drive or SD card, whichever one you're choosing. And there's a how-to text in case you want to do it manually. So let's open this up. And I know I'm going to be putting it in my vWii. So if I go into this PC, my vWii is drive W. Drive W is selection 4. And then you just want to hit yes to the prompts. This might take a little longer because PS1 games are a little larger. So just give it a moment so we can move on to the next step of this. Okay, next step would be transferring the cover art. Just hit yes again. And then finally, it'll ask you if you want to transfer your BIOS. Just go ahead and hit yes once again. And we are all set with this. So I think you guys should have the gist for adding your games. If you don't though, I actually have a whole video dedicated to using every single one of these tools, which I'll leave linked down below for anybody who's confused. But moving on, the next step is going to be adding music, unless you want to skip this step. Let's go ahead and close out of this. We can close out of this. We're done with the tool now. We're going to grab the hamster-free audio converter. We're going to open this up. This is another thing we're just going to have to install real fast. So just run through the prompts. I accept, next, yes, next, install. And it should pop up on its own. Now, when that's done, I already have a track that I'm going to be using here. The general rule for this is you don't want your tracks to be more than 4 to 5 minutes a piece, and you don't want one really long playlist. So no like 45-minute track to throw in here. Try to keep everything into 3 to 4 minutes, but you can have as many tracks as you want. So I'm just gonna be doing one to show you how it works. Just toss it in, you can drag and drop it, go to next, and we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna convert it into the OGG file format. So click on that, go to convert, and then it's going to ask you where you want to put it. So this is going to go into our Wii U SD card. It's going to go into WiiFlow, and you should have a music folder. All you got to do is click on that, hit OK, and let it transfer. It should only take a couple of seconds. And actually, while this is transferring, I can just show you here. Let's go to the WiiFlow folder. We can type in just OGG. And you can see several different files in here that use the .ogg file format once it starts to pop up and populate. There it is. You can see Omega, the Amstrad, Arcade. So these are all individual sounds that pop up when you open up these systems in WiiFlow. These are all configurable. All you have to do is find, like, let's say this is 3 seconds long, convert it into whatever you want, like that is 5 seconds long, and then rename it to Arcade OGG and replace the file. And that'll change the sound effect for each individual system. But yeah, that's just a little tidbit. Now, the next thing we're going to do is finally add our forwarder. So we're done with the music here. Let's see. I'm going to open up my SD card. And in here, we're going to go into our Wii U folder, our apps folder, and then we want to open up our download folder. You're going to see we have WiiFlow FS47. We're going to right click, hit extract to, open this up, and the only one we really want is the Wii U folder. So if I open this, go in the apps folder, you're going to see a wiiflow.wub file. We're just going to toss that right into this folder. And now we should be pretty much done with everything. We can take the SD card out, the USB drive out, and this should be the last time that we're over here. And we can start setting up the rest of WiiFlow. Okay, so now back on the Wii U, we're just going to scroll over to the right, and you should see we have our WiiFlow Forwarder already installed. So let's open it up and make sure it works. So far, so good. And shout out Funky Scott right down there in the corner. Looks like he had a hand in this, which makes sense because, you know, FS was in the file. And here we go. Everything's looking spiffy now, and you can hear that the music actually started up off rip. Now, you might think that the music's a little too loud, so I want to show you how to lower it. At least I think it's too loud. You can go over to settings, and I think it's on like page 4 or 5. Yeah, it's on page 5. So music volume, I'm just going to bring this down to 200. The only thing that really sucks is that you have to actually tap this every single time. You can't just hold the button and let it go down. I'm going to bring this down to about 200. And now the next thing you're probably wondering is, how do you get over to your retro games? you can go ahead and hit the B button. And if you do that, you have your source menu settings, but you don't really know what everything is unless you just go by the picture. So you know, like this is the Wii, this is arcade, this is consoles, this is handheld, and this is computer. We can actually spice this menu up a little bit. So let's go back, go to the gears here, which is settings, and we're gonna go backwards to page 12, which is source flow settings. Hit set and turn that on. Go back, go back. And now if we hit the B button again, you should see that everything looks a lot better, in my opinion anyways. So we know we did our retro consoles. I'm gonna open this up. It's gonna convert some of our images here. And when it's done, you're gonna see a bunch of retro consoles to pick from. But the ones that I did to start with is the N64. So I'm just gonna open this up. And you're gonna get a message that's converting your cover art again. Hopefully it found your images from earlier, so I guess we'll find that out when this finishes. All right, when it's finished, your box art should automatically be showing. You can hit 1 or 2 to change the view from vertical to horizontal and scroll through all of your games. Each one, like I was talking about, when you open it, should give its own little jingle that you can edit by changing the OGG file. Let's go ahead and back up now. I wanna show you guys how to do PlayStation because this was on the USB hard drive. It's gonna be a little bit different. So if I open this up, you're gonna see no games are found, but you can also see it's showing that the location is SD, WSXRS, ISOs. We need to change that. So if we back up and hover over the PlayStation icon here, press the home button, you can go to select plugin ROM path, go to set, and we need to look for PlayStation here, which is right here. And we're doing PlayStation WSXRX, press check. And right here where it says path, it says SD, WSXRS, ISOs. We're going to change that to USB, but the same locations. So let's go back, USB, WSXRX, ISOs, and hit set. Go ahead and go back. And now we're going to do link source buttons to plugins. So hit set, go back, select PlayStation. We need to look for PlayStation once more, again in this list. And we want to make sure we have WSXRX enabled. Go back again. And now open up the PlayStation icon. And hopefully it found our games this time. So it did. Now the downside is we don't have our cover art, and that's because we have our cover art path set to our SD card. So if you want to change that, go to the gears icon. Go over into, we got to find it now. Path Manager, which is on page 4, hit go to box covers. And same thing right here where it says SD WiiFlow box covers, we want USB WiiFlow box covers. So go back, USB, WiiFlow box covers. Hit set, go back. And now to get them to actually appear, you hit the home button and go to reload cache. And let this finish. And now that it's done, you can see that we have all of our PlayStation games. So that's pretty much the gist of everything. You guys have a lot of things you can run through, a lot of different systems that you can choose, and even computer systems, which is pretty awesome, like the Commodore 64. But I think I'm going to end things here. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment down below. Feel free to join the Discord server, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.